look who just walked in. It's Craig. What are you doing here?
I just came to play some music.
Well, he is a barbarian. What kind of an instrument would he play?
You keep saying barbarian. I think he's just a bard. I don't think he has any barbarian.
No, I think he's from a barbarian tribe, so he has no level. He has no levels in barbarian, but he is a barbarian.
So, what kind of instrument would he have?
Yeah.
Well, he definitely has that stupid thing you put in your mouth and like flick, whatever that is.
Oh yeah. God, I don't even know what they call this. I think he could probably be a professional kazoo player as well. Like he's definitely he is a master of the mouth instruments.
Well, let's put it this way: what would get him beat up in the tribe the most?
Oh, definitely all of that. Possibly playing spoons, the washboard, the harp. The harp. That's what would get him beaten up in an orc tribe. Playing the harp.
He plays the harp and all mouth instruments.
Yep. Okay. Yep. He's very, very good, very talented at it. Unfortunately, orcs prefer a little bit of drums and some heavy guitar music. So.
And I was about to say, and because he's so against hitting things, and is so passive, he could never master percussion instruments.
That's what it is. He was terrible at the drums, which is what they raised him to play. That's what they wanted. He did not want to be like his brother and his father growing up.
I just want to whistle, Dad.
I just want to whistle and sing a song about the Muna and the spring and the Juna. I don't even remember what movie that's from.
All right, so hi, I'm Chris.
Oh yeah, the intro. I'm Jay. We are the Grumpy Dungeon
Masters.
We're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. That's the second worst intro ever. I think we did one worse before.
Maybe.
Probably.
So, this week, Wink, we want to talk about Tasha's.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Tasha's hideous laughter. Or wait, no, Tasha's cauldron of everything. And I'm not going to repeat everything a whole bunch of times like I did last time. Because people know how I feel about that.
I still see people complaining about that.
Well, people are dumb. Quit complaining. We are the ones who complain, not them.
We are the ones that complain. We're the complain boys. But yeah, I really like if they stick with the mindset of calling all these supplement books of everything. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I would like to see Xanathar's something else of something as the next player's handbook. But if Xanathar's is essentially player's handbook 2, which it is at this point in time.
Basically what it is, yeah.
Yeah, Tasha's is going to be player's handbook 3. Mm-hmm. Just keep it going. Keep the of everything being the moniker of the player handbooks.
And I would love one of those releases every year. Like clockwork, just every year, because that is what I loved about 3rd edition. 3rd edition started out, it only had a few supplements and so forth, but by the point it had been out for 4 or 5 years, you start getting access to all of this material for character creation, for DMing concepts and things like that. And that was what made that edition so great, was just the massive amount of things that were out there. And 5th edition has heavily suffered from that. Most of the books that were released are just campaigns. It's just modules.
Well, so what was
I know
funny?
they wanted DM's Guild to be the thing that people utilize, but I don't feel like it is.
So what's actually kind of funny about that is 4th edition had that, where they came out with a plethora of. They have Player's Handbook 1, 2, and 3. Then they had 4 Essentials 1 and 2. And then, hi, Cat. Yes. Don't attack my pictures. My daughter drew them. You sit there. Don't. No.
What's your cat's name? That way it can become internet famous.
It's Blaze. He's Blaze in the kitty machines. No. Anyways, so 4th edition had a crap ton of books, and kind of with the way that the characters worked and how they were built out, it was oppressive to build out a character in 4th edition. It took hours upon hours to build a character, even at level 1. Because if you didn't have the builder, and even with the builder, like there were 2,000 feats you could pick from at level 1, and everybody got a feat at level 1. And the problem with 4th edition is feats were essential, so you got one like every other level. So you'd have to go through this list of just essential feats to make your character even barely function.
3rd edition did suffer from that as well.
Yeah. And so the best thing to do was just to go online, go, what is the best barbarian to play? Enter. And like you'd have 5 options. You want to be ranged, you want to charge, you want to yell at things, or you want to punch things. And you pick one of those and you just play that, because if you try to build your own character, you would be swamped to death from all this the crap that was in there. Like even when I went through and like used their builder and toggled off different books and different supplements, just having the base player handbooks and the base like game, quote unquote, without any like campaign settings or anything, it was still tedious to build a character. And then it suffered from the fact that like if you 4th edition had this problem with it, that if you did not get magic items for all your standard RPG equipment slots, your character would not scale appropriately to fight the content in the book.
Yeah, that's a problem. You should never be required to have magic items. And 5th edition does pretty much the exact opposite of that. If you do not have a single magic item, it is fine, because everything is level scaled to to match your level, barring any equipment. Any magic items you come across are generally just gravy on top.
Right. And 4th edition had that problem, and they actually had to release a rule that they had to publish that was like, okay, every time you get to level 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20, add +1 to all your like your proficiency bonus and your attack rolls and your damage rolls, just to keep up.
So they gave everybody an extra proficiency point every 4 levels.
Yeah, like I didn't like playing with, having to have magic items, But on top of that, like, because how 4th and 5th function fairly similar. So like you would have a lot of things in 4th edition, like you'd play a barbarian, and your barbarian would have an ability that whenever he hits somebody with like a lightning damage, that they would get knocked prone. Well, that's cool and all, and here's a couple weird things that you can occasionally do lightning damage with, but in order to make that build work, you had to have gotten a lightning weapon for it to work. And then since you basically mark things by hitting them, you have to always attack with an AoE. So if you want to mark everything to actually be the tank, you have to hit somebody with an AoE, and then that AoE that you hit them with has to be lightning based somehow. So in order to get this fight to work, you have to get a flail, or one of those Cujo and knife things, like little sickles and like with a knife on the other end.
The kukri.
Oh, kunai and chains, whatever it is. So you had to get that.
You're talking about a Kasaragama.
Whatever. You had to get the lightning variant of that, so that you could then use it as a defensive weapon, because it was defensive for some reason, and still attack with your AoEs to mark everything and hit everything, so then it all gets knocked prone. And
it's a pain in the ass.
That was the problem with 4th edition.
Yeah, that's honestly, it sounds like you're playing Diablo 2. I want to play this lightning paladin, but the only way this lightning paladin will work is if I manage to luckily find this lightning bow that then procs all of my lightning attacks. Yeah, that's just annoying, and that should not be a requirement ever in I won't say it should never be a requirement in a role-playing game, but not in D&D.
Yeah.
That's not the format.
But then you also had to pick up certain feats, like whenever you knock somebody down, that X would happen, and it was just.
Third edition did suffer from that. It also had the scaling issue, specifically if you're spellcasters. I'd probably talked about it before, but I'll go over it again briefly. In 3rd edition, with spellcasters, they had a lot of enemies at the higher end had spell resistance. So you had to beat their spell resistance and you had to beat their saving throw. So every time you cast a spell at these things, that's effectively 2 saving throws they're getting against all of your spells. And if you ever forked out into any other class, so because your beating spell resistance was based on your caster level. So if I was, say, just for whatever reason, I was a 10th level wizard and 2nd level fighter, I was effectively just a 10th level wizard instead of a 12th level wizard. So any enemy that was a CR 12 or 13, their spell resistance is going to be 2 points higher than what my average roll is going to be. So the only way to ever fight against things with spell resistance as a caster was to only ever go pure caster and never miss a level of caster level. Otherwise, you're just going to continuously fail those rolls and be useless in those fights.
Yeah, and so I kind of brought all this up to kind of like, I think this is going to be my problem with Tasha's. So there is a lot of really cool stuff out there, and a lot of the books and campaign settings are really, really, really cool. So like, if you go to Theros and you want to play a Theros campaign, you can use the player's handbook and you can use the Theros book and just those 2 things. And essentially you have the base setup of your game. You can use all the races from, like, you can basically say, okay, Theros is going to be our base handbook for all when it comes to races. You can use all the classes and races from the player's handbook and all the subclasses and stuff from Theros. And it works, and I think it's great. Same thing with Eberron. Like, when D&D Beyond, if you don't want to use Eberron source material, you can toggle it off.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you can't toggle off anything else. So,
well, like, I mean, I can't say with Tasha's, but like Xanathar's, all it did was add a few extra archetypes. That was it. There wasn't any other crazy stuff with this one. I know with Tasha's, they're adding a whole lot more stuff, including psionics, including some lineage system. Let's see what else was there.
26 subclasses.
Right. Yeah, they're adding just a ton of other stuff. So maybe you can turn this one off.
I don't think so. Because
probably not, but
this is similar to Xanathar. So like, if I build a character now in D&D Beyond, it pulls everything in from the player's handbook and Xanathar's, and then if I have any other supplements, it pulls all that stuff in as well too. The only thing that I can toggle off is Xanathar's. But normally I can just go, okay, just go through the player's handbook and pick out the stuff that's just that basic stuff that's in there, and you're good to go. Well, now the Artificer is a whole new class, technically.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the player's handbook. It's only in Eberron. Well, now it can be used in the Faerun and all that other stuff. There's no way to toggle it off anymore once Tasha releases.
I mean, as the DM, you can always say, you can't play this class.
Right, but that makes me feel shitty. It makes me feel shitty saying that, hey...
Doesn't make me feel shitty. I've been telling my players for years they can't play Dark Elves or Half-Orcs. I kind of like the smaller scope that Faerun offered, and then like if I was doing a one shot, okay, go crazy. You pull in all the stuff from that's the book you can toggle off. You can toggle off all the Critical Role books, so you can toggle off Wildmount. Yep.
But you couldn't toggle off Theros for whatever reason.
That's weird because Theros is very different.
Yeah, and what's weird too is I don't think like the Centaurs and all them popped up as on the list of races.
No Loxodons?
No Loxodons.
Can't play. I had somebody who wanted to play an elephant guy recently in one of my games. I was like, no, that's not one of the races that are available. Sorry.
So I hope I think D&D Beyond is getting to a point where they're going to be able to toggle more sources on and off. And I know that you can share certain content. You can toggle that stuff on and off. but you still see it. It's really weird. So they got a few things to work on, and I'm sure they'll get there. But my concern is that how close are we to the end of the 5th edition life cycle?
So from what I can tell, looking back from 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition, it's a 10-year lifespan. That's not an exact, but that is a fairly tight estimate. So I don't know exactly what year 3rd edition came out, but I want to say it was around 2000. And 2nd edition started in 89, 90. So that was that 10-year lifespan. 4th edition came out around what year? 2010-ish?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, 4th edition to 5th edition, I guess, was not a 10-year lifespan, but 4th edition was so fucking unpopular that they probably cut it short. Let me find out, when did 5th edition? I don't even remember. My my dates are so bad. Dates. Okay, so 5th edition came out in 2014.
So 4th edition got on. It was announced in August 2007 and released June 2008. The Essentials, which is 4th edition light, 4th edition revamped, was 2010. And then in 2012, they announced 5th edition. Playtesting happened throughout the year, and it was released September 2013. So we're 7 years into the life cycle. And the thing is right now, more than any other time, it's super popular.
Yeah, so, because of the popularity of it, I don't foresee. I mean, we probably have another 5 years, I would estimate. 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Like 4th edition sort of threw off the 10-year span. 5th edition, because of its unpopularity, 5th edition is very popular. 3rd edition, it went more than the 10 years. But yeah, like it's roughly in that time span, I feel.
No, because 5th edition, 3rd edition was released in 2000, and then 4th edition was 2008. So it was 8 years for that.
8 years, okay.
So we're getting close to the 8-year mark of 5th edition.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of with you. Like, I kind of think that it's going to last a lot longer than
it feels like
another 5 years. Yeah. Because like if they were to release a whole new edition right now with a new set of rules, I don't know if it would work, because I think the rule set for 5th edition is so
people are generally happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so simplified yet so I'm gonna say varied. Simplified yet varied. He's short yet tall.
I mean, I've always told people who ask about 5th that it meets that kind of perfect ground between 3rd and 4th. Because 4th was the board game. That's all it was. I mean, it was just a fucking video game / board game. And 3rd edition had so much awesome variants and stuff you could do in it, but it was so number crunchy. 5th edition killed the number crunching without killing all the variants that you want. At least it feels that way to me. And then it got rid of the board game feel from 4th edition, while utilizing a lot of the similar rules from 4th edition, making it streamlined.
Yeah, whoever came up with the roll 2d20 for advantage and disadvantage, that is such a genius move.
Yeah,
so simple yet so genius.
The hardcore gamers like myself, the hardcore number crunchers, we still love it. Yeah, because it still gives. We don't have to sit here and do all of that fucking math, but it still feels like we did something to put us in a position to get advantage a lot of the time, to get that extra boost.
So with Tasha, just kind of back to the point. So with Tasha's coming out, they're expanding the library of core D&D rules to include a lot of stuff from Eberron, a lot of stuff from the other campaign settings like Theros, and they're kind of just making it all part of the core game rules. So yeah, I was looking here. At least one new subclass for each of the 13 classes. 22 new subclasses. 5 are reprinted from other books, not including the Artificer.
Yep.
The reprinted subclasses at this time are the Order Domain Cleric and Circles of Sport Druid from Guildmasters.
I really, from the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, I really wanted to like the Circle of Spores Druid, but it just didn't do it for me. It seemed so underwhelming. I love the idea of just this sort of diseased fungus-based druid, but man, the stats and what it did just didn't do anything.
Yeah. There's also the College of Eloquence Bard and the Oath of Glory Paladin from Theros, and the Blade Singing Wizard from Sword Coast Adventures Guide, which is already weird while they're reprinting it.
They're just consolidating all of those into one book. So at that point, what it's saying is you can just use these in any D&D campaign.
Yeah,
the Blade Singers are no longer just Faerun. The Circle of Spores is no longer just Theros or Ravnica.
Yeah. So then it says that all the new subclasses that previously appeared in Unearthed Arcana within the last year and a half. And that is a huge list.
Yeah, that is probably the list that I showed you earlier, which is that's 25 to 30 of these things.
Well, 22.
I didn't add it, or I didn't add it up. There are 31 in the list that I showed you.
Well, the list that you showed me also said a lot of things were not confirmed.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just totally guessing on those. Thank you, Reddit.
So the Artificer is being added in and being reprinted from the Eberron book.
Well, okay, that's fair. That list also had the I thought it had the Artificer. Maybe not. Yeah, it does. It has 4 of them because it's the Artificer and all of those, so it wouldn't count that.
It's rumored to basically be tweaked a little bit so it fits in with the world. Get off my printer. No.
I am not cutting any of this cat shenanigans either. You just have to deal with it.
Get off the printer. No, don't look at me with your little puppy dog eyes because you're a cat. It's weird.
And welcome to Cat Times, the podcast.
Roll my chair back and he runs. He knows what he's doing.
Yep, he knew he was in trouble.
So they're releasing the Artificer from Eberron, with some tweaks to make it fit in Faerun and not just Eberron. Okay, that's understandable. They're not releasing the Warforged.
Are you sure? I mean, to be fair, the Warforged doesn't fit. Yeah, it doesn't fit in every setting.
Well, what's funny too is like there's so much clockwork stuff in Faerun that all you got to do is just tweak the Warforged a little bit and just make it more like a clockwork soldier.
Is there clockwork in Faerun? Because I certainly don't know of any.
All of Waterdeep.
Is it really? It didn't used to be that way, but I've also been out of the loop.
That's the first quest: is chase down the clockwork robot that went astray. And
yeah, fair enough.
So that's when I had a player when we rolled, he's like, okay, I want to be a Warforged. It's like, okay, this is how it would work, and basically said, okay, you're not going to have these Eberron style things. You are going to be clockwork. You're going to be a clockwork robot. And it kind of been touching on sentience and the clockwork things. Like sometimes they get sentience, or something that resembles sentience, and sometimes they don't. But I was like, all right, healing spells don't heal you. You have to be repaired.
I mean, you need a mending spell or some other stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah. So Artificer is coming in, so that's cool. A lot of people like it. The Artillerist, the Alchemist, and Battlesmith are being reprinted.
Yeah, and those are just the subclasses of the Artificer, right. The archetypes of the class.
I don't know if the armor or specialization is coming through or not.
It says armor specialization lets you sling lightning, master spells both old and new, create and customize armor. That seems to be in there.
Okay, so that is coming through as well then. So that was the UA subclass. Okay. And then for Barbarian, the Path of Wild Magic, which was featured heavily when they released Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Yeah, I was reading through this thing. I would love to play that.
Yeah,
you make attacks and you get wild magic. Like, I'm all for it. Just like a random one of them off of the chart that I've read is you teleport up to 20 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Until your rage ends, you can activate the effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action. Like teleporting barbarians. Come on.
If I play if I get a chance to play, I am going to play Path of the Wild Magic Barbarian because I haven't played a Barbarian yet, and I love random craziness. So
yes, yeah, that one I figured was right up your alley.
So for the Bard, 2 confirmed ones for the Bard: the College of Creation, a College of Eloquence. The Creation was the one that was like it animates objects and stuff, and that was a UA one. Eloquence was the one that came from Theros.
Which I have not actually seen the Eloquence one at all. I was not familiar
with it. Neither have
I. But just from the title, College of Eloquence, sounds like they're talking a lot. Pass. Not interested.
The College of talking about trade disputes and
oh no! It's Jedi. It's a Star Wars movie all over again.
Yeah, we joke, but it's probably like a kick-ass.
Probably, yeah. As it eloquently Dread Pirate Roberts that ass all over the place.
Cleric, Order of Domain from Ravnica. Druids, Circle of Spores from Ravnica. Fighter, at least one new one. Monk, at least one new one. I'm not sure if I know what those are.
The ones that were listed. Mind you, these are not confirmed, but there was the Psi-Knight, which would be a Psionic Knight, and the Rune Knight, which I really liked. And then the monks were the Way of Mercy or the Way of Astral Self.
So if they are releasing psionics, which I don't know if they are.
No, the one you sent me says Psionic Mind is a Psionic themed sorcerer origin. So it looks like yeah.
My guess would be that the UA psionic list that we saw earlier is with the psionic sorcerer, the psionic knight, and the psionic rogue.
Yeah, that would be my assumption.
Psionics is a new mechanic that when I read through it, I loved it. It's essentially boiled down to you have your psionic die. So whenever you want to do a psionic ability, you roll 1d6. If it's a 6, the die gets downgraded to a d4, but you still get to have that 6 carry over to whatever the ability was. If you roll 1 through 5, nothing happens. So when your die gets downgraded to a d4, if you roll a 4, your die goes away until you do a long rest. If you roll a 1, it gets promoted back up to a d6. So as you level, you eventually get the D8, the D10, and the D12. And
so does it just add extra damage to your spells?
It depends on what you're doing. Like some is like heal, and then you heal an extra D6. Okay. Or damage, do an extra damage. Or that die adds a number to whatever the ability was. And
so it's not. It is not full blown psionics. It's just adding a little something that your class gets to each of the spells that you cast, type thing.
Yeah, but it was all like in addition to. It wasn't like in replacement of.
Yeah.
So like
it adds it. It's not changing anything. It's just giving you more of.
Right. So like the fighter was, you deal extra psionic damage on an attack. So you do your attack damage. You roll the d6, add that damage as well.
I mean, just the general concept sounds kind of bland and boring, in my opinion. But I have not read the class, so I can't say that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like that mechanic. I like things that have extra die added to a roll.
I don't, because then you get 3rd edition.
But when you just have to add everything together, that's fine. So they also have ways of like refreshing that. So like if you, worst case scenario, use your psionics, roll 6, and next turn, use your psionics, roll 4, and your die is blown. You can spend a bonus action once per long rest to refresh the die back to full. So at very least, or maybe it's during a long rest, or short rest, I mean. At the very least, you get 2 rounds of your psionic die.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you just roll 5s.
I know my rolling luck. My dice are gone most commonly within about 2 or 3 rolls, guaranteed.
And the reason they did this system this way is because they said they wanted to emulate like the mental strain that you get throughout the day of having to use your mind to do tasks.
Yeah.
And they felt like that was the best way of getting to that. It was like
and the mental stress you'll get of praying you don't roll a 6 followed by a 1 or whatever the hell number it is.
So if you keep rolling max on your dice, you're putting too much mental strain on yourself. That's why you lose the die. But if you're just kind of coasting with 1s, you're refreshing yourself. So I really like the system. I think at early levels it's going to be kind of weak, but at later levels it's probably going to be pretty badass, especially if you can bounce between the 8 and 12 range.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to hit your rolls, sure, yeah, it's just adding more damage to stuff you're already doing. I mean, and just assuming, once again, I've not read it, but if you're able to add a D12 to a fireball, that's a lot of extra damage.
Yeah. So hopefully it's a Cyanite, because I really want the Psionics to come through. Onto the Monk, the Way of Mercy, and the Way of Astral Self. So I have a player currently playing Way of Astral Self.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever seen this anime, but essentially what he did is he built himself a JoJo character using the monk from the Way of Astral Self.
No, I suffered through one episode of that you and Eric sent me, and oh my god, it is the worst thing I've ever watched.
Now we just lost half our viewership.
I don't care. They can go on, find something else to watch or listen to.
The first 2 seasons was with Hamel, and Hamel doesn't have the stand, so that started season 3. And that's what this is you make a stand of yourself. Usually it's just the fist, but you essentially can flavor it up to basically you have a stand. And that stand does stuff for you. So you essentially can be Jojo Kudro and just have your stand go out there and do all the fighting for you. I think it's really cool. You have to flare it up a little bit beyond just, I have extra fists and they do punching. Let them have a stand and have the stand do extra punching and just go full JoJo. You won't regret it. No, I'm
so out. You definitely did not sell me on that subclass.
For the Paladin, Oath of Glory and possibly Oath of Watchers.
Yeah, Oath of Glory is a definite. The Oath of Watchers was mentioned. Yes, I don't know either of these. The Oath of Glory, like I never saw the Thero stuff. I need to finally get a copy of it and check it out.
Yeah. Ranger, possibly Fey Wanderer or Swarm Keeper. My guess is Swarm Keeper.
Yeah, I was reading that one earlier. Seems interesting, if not. Yeah, basically, the way I understand it is your weapons can take on the swarm, so it just deals extra damage with your attacks. And then they can do, as you gain levels, you get other abilities. Like I'm reading one of them right now. At your 7th level feature, you condense part of your swarm into a focused mass that lifts or sweeps you along. Whenever you activate this feature, choose one of the additional benefits. And basically, it's your walking speed increases by 10 feet, and you can take disengage as a bonus action. You gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, or you gain a fly speed of 10 feet and can hover. So yeah, it's just this, and I hate the fact that the bees or swarm are actually fey spirits. No, I want bees. I want to Nicolas Cage the shit out of this when I play something like that. Yeah, I mean that's what I want. I don't want fey. I want bees. Why did it have to be bees?
So my wife, when we did my Christmas one shot, which I'm currently getting ready for release on DM's Guild, she chose Swarmkeeper Ranger, and I told everyone to have a Christmas theme to the character, so she took Swarmkeeper Ranger and made it all about reindeer. So instead of having a swarm of animals, like what they say here, she had a swarm of little tiny reindeer that just like flew around her and did stuff.
Yeah, see, that's what I want. I want them. I'm okay with the Fae thing, but they have to take the shape I want them to take. By gosh, I want bees, or I want a swarm of miniature Terrask.
Yeah, Swarmkeeper is good. I think it's pretty. If I remember correctly, that's the one that was pretty powerful.
Is that guy? Is he surrounded by a whole bunch of tiny mind flayers?
All right, on to Rogue. Rogue had two possibilities: Phantom and Soul Knife. Soul Knife is the psionic one, so my guess
we're
is
sure the Soul Knife, yeah.
And then Clockwork Soul and Psionic Mind for Sorcerer, which the Psionic Mind has already been confirmed.
Yes, the Psionic Mind is there. Yeah, we already know that.
And the one after that is the Warlock with.
I'm so in. I'm so in.
My favorite one, which is the Genie Patron.
But you get to pick the type of Djinn.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so in on this. I love the idea.
And the Lurker of the Deep, which I don't know what that one is.
That would I don't know. That's Lurker of the Deep. I've seen this before. I think you follow a Kraken. Like you get Kraken powers.
Wait, like the Ninja Sex Party song?
Maybe. I don't know what that is.
You can just Google it.
No. No, I'm not. I am not Googling anything titled Ninja Sex Party.
You really should.
No, I am. Really I totally am right now.
And then the Wizard has the Blade Singer, which is definitely coming back, and possibly Order of Scribes, which
I think it's weird that they're making the Blade Singer a Wizard subclass, though.
It was a Wizard in 4th edition.
Well, it wasn't in. I say it wasn't in 3rd, but in 3rd you actually had to have levels in Fighter and Spellcaster.
Let me retract. It was its own class in 4th edition, but essentially it was a Wizard.
Yeah, I mean in 3rd edition you were a Fighter Wizard. So yeah.
There was another thing that came out with the Blade Singer in 4th edition that was essentially a Jedi, where like you had it was the psionic version of the Blade Singer, so you could do push, pull, jump, all the force powers. You could do all the force powers,
right?
And you had your sword, and your sword you could pull your sword, unsheath your sword. You could do all the cool stuff with your sword, and then you had like the reaction parry effects, and you were essentially a Jedi for all intents and purposes, but it was just of a medieval fantasy flair to it. And I liked that one a lot. I actually got to play that one for a little bit. I really enjoyed that class in 4th edition. I see that coming back sometime soon.
Mm-hmm. You just gave me a great idea, and I don't know, I've never thought of this. I should make a video clips of all the different Star Wars movies and throw in like sound clips from a Street Fighter or something of that nature. Like every time Luke force throws somebody, just sonic boom. Anyway.
So other miscellaneous in the books is customized character origin stories similar to the This Is Your Life and the Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
I love that stuff, though. I do. It's more stuff that people can use to build more detailed characters.
Yeah.
Hang on. Before we continue with this, I came across... Do you know who Jenny D is? Have you ever seen her on YouTube?
No.
All right. And she's a D&D player, cosplayer, and so forth. But basically, one of the things she did a video on, I saw it recently, was a character journal. And I love the idea of this. If you're just playing a one-off game or whatever, don't bother. But if you're going to do a long-term campaign and you get attached to a character, make a character journal for them. And it's basically just some sort of a notebook or whatever that you use specifically for that character. You have your primary character sheet and she did it with like plastic sleeves where you could take all of the different parts of your character and keep them separate. So you have your inventory, all of the other stuff with it. But she had included things like artwork, entire pages of handwritten backstory, all of the spells. She had also done, you've seen the spell cards that people have. Like you can buy packs of all of the sorcerer spell cards, things like that. She had all of those for her character in there. And she was playing a druid, so she actually had all of the things she could wild shape. She had bought the monster cards for them too. So this is just immediate, quick access to everything that character can do in a really nice format. We'll share the link to this video. I'll find it again. We'll put it up on Twitter or somewhere. People can check it out. But I highly recommend it. Like I thought it was a brilliant thing, and it adds more to the character.
Yeah, I had a friend who did that somewhat with his wizard in 4th edition, because they had the power cards in 4th edition as well too that you could buy. So he bought all those, and he kind of went through and had a binder with a bunch of card sleeves and moved stuff around, and would keep notes and had a picture drawn up and stuff like that. That's always a great idea to have as a player. Also, D&D Beyond exists, so I'm lazy. I'm going to go with that.
I mean, you do all of your stuff online. You have to remember, my brain first and foremost goes to physical being there, not online. So
my brain goes to like written character sheet, like with a pencil.
Have you ever even done that?
No.
Yeah,
no, I haven't.
You actually had to think about it. No, guys, I guess you were dungeon mastering when you were doing Adventurers League, so you didn't get to play. So yeah.
And even then, I had the 40 character builder, and I'd print out my sheet. I've never. No, I'm gonna say I have never, because I remember when I first cracked open 4th edition, I went through and drafted up some characters. But I can say I've never actually played a character with pen and paper.
We're changing this at some point, man. That's got to. You have to at least once. Maybe we'll go to a con and we'll just enter one of these D&D tournaments. That way, you're forced to do it on paper, the hard way, like like a real boy.
I'll just use my phone. I can't add 3 and 5 together, guys. I can't
math. I don't know how math works. This computer thing does the number crunching for me.
Where's the button? I'm staring at the sheet. Where's the button to declare I have to press to attack?
I keep pressing. It's not casting. I don't know why. All right, back to what we were. God, I probably lost train of thought. The psionic
place.
I think multiple psionic theme subclasses.
So I think that's why the Soul Knife and all those things are confirmed. But it says that they're going to be using a expanded upon system, which I explained the one that was beta tested, which I liked a lot. So if they just make that one better, I'm all for it.
It seemed easy enough. It doesn't really change a lot. Personally, if I want psionic spells that are, they're effectively act as spells, but they're psionics. I want new ones. But that's my personal opinion. Just adding a die of psionic damage to stuff that already exists doesn't do much for me.
Yeah. So races, they're adding a lineage system to basically let you put your modifiers wherever you'd like is now a rule. So pretty much the variant rule DMs have been using forever is now written down as possible.
Yeah.
They removed all the negative racial modifiers from the kobolds and orcs. And then removed any racial prerequisite feats. That's with the part of the lineage system. So, if you have an orc that was born and raised in the heart of Waterdeep by a noble couple, you can have that orc that has, it doesn't have to have that strength. You can have it in wisdom or intellect.
I mean, these are variant things that if you want to use them, use them. If you don't, don't. Yeah, it's up to you.
And then you can also change, since he was born and raised in a noble house, he's not going to have intimidation. He's going to have persuasion. Then you could do that as well.
Which makes sense, yeah.
So they also added in the primal intuition, which is you have proficiency in any of the 2 following skills of your choice: animal handling, insight, intimidation, medicine, nature, perception, and survival. Which is, I think, just for orcs and kobolds.
Sorry, I was scrolling down and I came across something I like. Feats. There will be new feats. I like new feats. I know some people are not fans of feats. I personally love them because they are what let you differentiate characters when it comes to the number crunching aspect of things. If you're playing, if somebody's playing a Blade Singer, every Blade Singer is exactly the same. They just are. The only thing that makes them different is what feats they picked.
Well, they do have. They also have the section there for spells next to feats.
I saw the spells, and I'm highly. My problem with it is they're all talking about conjuration and summoning spells. Those are probably the last thing they need to add. Just from our discussion that we had recently about doing things online.
Well, see, what I think they did is I think they wanted to take psionics and just roll it into a school that was already there. So they made the psionic spells enchantment a part of the enchantment school.
Yeah, makes sense. I don't see that in this thing we're looking at.
So there's two confirmed psionic spells: Tasha's Mind Whip and Mind Sliver.
Okay.
Basically, magic range attacks that just do psychic damage.
I gotcha.
So they do have some. There's not a psionic school, which I would prefer. They're in enchantment.
They are enchantment spells that probably do psionic damage or something of that nature.
Psychic damage.
Or, psychic damage.
A bunch of new feats, bunch of new magic items. Not going to go through those individually.
But I do like what I do want to say the one thing. These aren't just +1 or +2 weapons. They are super flavorful and mechanically really good. Yeah.
And then you look down on the fourth one listed there, the Bell Branch, a tree-limbed special spellcasting focus for druids and warlocks.
All right. If you say it's mechanically good, I'll take your word for it. But I'm gonna want to see that.
They're also bringing back magic tattoos from.
Yeah, we briefly talked about this before, but man, I'm all about this shit. I want magic tattoos.
So for the DM, the book contains rules for supernatural environments and natural hazards, parlaying with monsters, which I think every DM needs to read and kind of understand. What annoys me the most is when I am trying to do something as a player that's not just let's just stab it and first and then ask questions later.
You mean that's not what you're supposed to do every time?
If I'm trying to persuade or intimidate or diffuse the situation with my words, being that I built a very word-heavy character, let me do that. And it kind of goes into the whole things with parlaying with monsters. Like if you can walk up to the Goblin Den and talk to them to get the leader outside, and it doesn't have to be written in the campaign setting for that to happen. That can happen at any time.
I'll say Icewind Dale. It does a real good job of giving you multiple ways to end encounters a lot of the time.
Yeah. In 4th edition, there was a troll cave. And if you walked up to the troll guards, just like walked up to them and you said, I'm here to see the head troll, and you had actually gotten information about him, what he looked like and what he did, you could essentially talk to the guards, convince them that you were there as an envoy to speak with the head troll from the bad guy. And then when they sent out the fox, I was going to say what, the fake troll, okay, you could identify him as being the fake troll because he didn't have the golden eye. And you said, no, I said the leader, he has a gold eye. And then they'd actually go get the real leader. And then the leader would come out from his lair and you could fight him outside. You could parlay with the monsters and get the leader of the troll outside. You could skip 26 encounters by pulling the leader of the trolls outside and then killing him.
Seems good.
But you shouldn't have to have that written in the book for DMs to kind of roll with the punches. If I walk up to a goblin cave and I want to talk to the toughest goblin there is, and I want to have a one-on-one fight with him, let the players do that.
Yeah.
Let them figure that out.
Yep. A lot of time. I mean, there may be encounters where that is not possible, but in the situations where it could be, allow it.
So, like, I remember, was it? I don't remember which game this was, but I remember I was trying to basically go up to a monster and convince him to stop fighting us, and he'll live. And then the DM was like, "Oh no, he stabs you." Like, I rolled like a 26 in the persuasion, and he just, "Oh no, it stabs you."
Yeah.
Like, why does that never work? And on top of that, I do remember this. I used the paladin spell, compel duel, which basically says, "Hey, that monster."
You've complained about this one a few times.
That monster needs to attack me because I used my spell slot to tell it to attack me, and the disadvantage on attacking other things is just kind of like the flavor to tell the DM to have it attack me. Don't have it just go and attack the same person who was still attacking. That's shitty to the player because they just used a spell slot. You're supposed to. It's a role playing spell.
See, I think you're just looking at it incorrectly. I think that it's a spell that gives an enemy disadvantage. That's what it is. From a numbers crunching perspective, that's what it does.
There are so many other better ways to just give a monster disadvantage.
Yep, but it's if they fail to save, here's your disadvantage. I agree. It's a shit spell. Probably shouldn't use it.
It's not a shit spell because
it's a shit spell because if you have a DM who's not going to utilize it the way it's intended, then it's not. It's just not effective. There's better things you could be doing with your action.
And I will definitely say when I started DMing, I did this, and it wasn't until it happened to me like the first time that I really realized that, like, hey, this really sucks. Yeah, it's a bonus action, but it still takes a spell slot. Just it says there, like in the text, it says the creature is drawn to you, compelled by your divine demand. And then you're just going to say it's going to go, no, and still attack the same person? It was a divine demand, and it is drawn to you. And the DM just like, well, nope, stab this guy. Same guy.
So we're not going to go through this entire freaking list here. But I have to point out one thing that I did just come across. Magic environments, and one of the magic environments says mimic colony, where everything is a mimic,
including the colony.
Yes. Well, it doesn't say that, but yes, I assume that is the case. This is the best / worst thing ever. I cannot wait to read more about this.
So when you walk in there and
the ground is a mimic. Your grass is mimics. The grass just eats you immediately. It starts chomping on your shoes.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Everything is a mimic. Oh my goodness. The air you're breathing, it's a mimic.
So yeah, overall, I think Tasha's is going to be a fantastic and amazing book. And really, it's really going to expand everything. The sidekick rules, I think those are also in Icewind Dale, which I'm not going to use at all.
I did not see them, but I've also not gone through the entirety of the book. I do see also listed in here Chapter 1 art, Tasha and Baba Yaga, which is kind of fascinating. Maybe next podcast we can tell the tale of how Tasha sort of came to be. There's a lot of confusion as to who Tasha really is. I googled this before, and it's really interesting fan theories. So
yeah, I don't know who Tasha is.
I mean, Tasha's hideous laughter at least.
One of my favorite spells.
Yeah. Every wizard loves that spell. People who hate it, it's the poor bastards who get it cast on them and can't do anything for a turn or more until they make a saving throw. I'm not bitter or anything, I swear.
Tasha's hideous laughter is good. What's the one where they have to use the reaction to run away? Dissonant Whispers. That's the one that like I have on my rogue, where I basically can just walk up and use dissonant whispers on somebody, and so they take the psychic damage from the attack if they fail the saving throw, and then they have to use the reaction to run away from you.
So you then get your
they get a free attack
of opportunity on them. Yeah.
It's my favorite combo.
Yep. Yeah. I think fear's another good one like that. If you can get into melee with them, then you fear them because they have to move away from you on their turn. So then you use your reaction to get an attack on them.
So last question of the night then. Tasha's hideous laughter is an amazing spell. What is the best named spell in all of Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh Lord, why you throw that at me? Why you got to do that, man?
Because there's only one right answer.
Is there? Yep. No, it's not the scroll from Icewind Dale, is it?
Nope.
Okay. Well, what do you think it is?
I know what it is.
Oh, you know what it is. Okay, well give me a hint. What spell? What class?
It is a first level spell for the wizard.
Okay, well I can at least look that up and see if my brain can sync with your brain, which it probably cannot. Which book is it in? How about that?
Acquisitions Incorporated.
Oh, I definitely don't know what it is because I've never read that book. So what is the name of it?
Jim's Magic Missile.
Jim's Magic. I mean, to be fair, I've seen Acquisitions Incorporated, and Jim is an amazing wizard. So,
yep.
If anyone has not watched the Acquisitions Incorporated stuff, look it up on YouTube. It's really fun and entertaining, and Jim is awesome.
Yep, and it is what started me playing Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition all those years ago.
Yep. Well, I have to give thanks to Acquisitions Inc. then, because that got us to where we're at now doing a podcast. So.
And Chris Perkins.
Yeah, well. Yeah, but he's part of the same group, so.
Yeah. All right, that's all.
Yep.
We went through Tasha's. Bye, Craig.
See you, Chris. Later, everybody.
Deliver my package of Tasha's in a month's time.
Yes.
Do not delay.
I'm sure I'll get my book a week late, just like Icewind Dale.
Well, don't next time. Just go to the store and actually pick it up early.
I did. I got it the day they got it.
Use Amazon. I mean, support your local brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, do that. Bye, Craig.